Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, the review guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Bad Omens record entitled Finding God Before God Finds Me. This is the second studio-length album by the Richmond Virginia metalcore band Bad Omens, formed in 2015, currently signed to Sumerian Records. Their 2016 self-titled record really threw a lot of people through a loop and really blew a lot of people away for how cutthroat and focused it was for a release, including me. I remember when it came out, I was very surprised by it for this symphonic metalcore, post-hardcore, all-metal, like very weird mix of sounds and influences, because I kind of feel like I have to address the elephant in the room that this band has always tried to kind of cope with. If you see anything on their Twitter, their YouTube, pretty much anything anywhere, you're going to hear people comparing them to Bring Me the Horizon, specifically Sempiternal era Bring Me the Horizon. On tracks like Exit Wounds and The Worst in Me on their self-titled record, Noah Sebastian, the lead vocalist for Bad Omens, without a doubt sounded quite a bit like Oliver Sykes, specifically with his very expressive, emotional screaming as well as his raspy singing voice, and some of the riffs sounded straight out of something you could have gotten on Sempiternal, especially when they included some of those synths, and it also had this alt-metal tinged feel to it that sounded kind of like Breaking Benjamin. Some people saw it as a positive, some people saw it as a negative. I personally was a little bit in the middle, because to me they sounded like a band that had already fleshed their sound out for a debut record and were definitely wearing their influences on their sleeve pretty profoundly, but they still had developed their own sound already. So it made me excited to see what they were going to do next, if they were going to flesh it out more, come into their own a little bit more, and it made me very excited for this record. As more singles got released, the Bring Me the Horizon vibe still popped up here and there, like specifically on the track The Hell I Overcame. On the chorus, it definitely sounds like something that could have been off Sempiternal, one of those just roared, massive choruses. But to me, the singles felt like they were shaping up to be their own entity, and a band that was taking their own identity into their own hands and shaping it and molding it like clay. To say the least, this record does not disappoint, and it features a very cohesive track listing, a very tight-knit, cohesive track listing that amounts to 10 tracks, a little bit over 40 minutes, 42 minutes long. Noah's vocals in this short period of time between the self-titled record and this one have improved greatly, pretty much on every front, from his singing to his growls to his screams, and the lyricism still blends the lines between bluntness and poeticism in a really nice way. The instrumentals are well orchestrated on every track, the riffs and the grooves are very well orchestrated, and when those electronics and synths come in, they only accompany Noah's expressive vocal acrobatics very well, and once again, those alt-metal feels really do come back, those kind of hard rock feels mixed with metalcore, kind of like how Asking Alexandria did on their self-titled record. Kingdom of Cards is a surprising way to start the record out. It's quiet, isolated, reclusive, but not afraid to turn up the intensity just a tad as it progresses. And with the reverbed riffs, what sounds like some gang vocals in the background, as well as Noah's just raspy singing, it just sounds a lot like what you would get from like a contemporary alt-metal band, seriously. Whereas Careful What You Wish For and Burning Out are just monolithic structures in this track listing. They feature low-key verses with great lyricism that are absolutely carried by Noah's vocal performance that explode into these massive, powerful choruses, arena-sized, with massive drums. The drums are great on some of these choruses. Pretty much all of the tracks have massive choruses. And on Burning Out, I can't get that one kind of electronic line out of my head that carries on in the track after the chorus, as well as the start, that the singles all slap, straight up. I could sit and talk about them, but they've been out so long that you've probably made your own opinion of them. If you want mine, they're all very good, but if you want to know a little bit more about the deep cuts on this record, I'll deliver. Truth is, there are some insanely great deep cuts on this record as well. A lot of people are talking about Dethrone, which is just, and how it like should have been a single but wasn't, and maybe they were saving it. Noah sounds nothing like he does. His growls are absolutely ferocious and insane. This is the heaviest track on the record by far, could rival some of the heaviest tracks off of the self-titled record, and it almost has this djenty feel with how some of these grooving riffs function. He does some inhales, and then you have the breakdowns, and then you have the pre-line breakdowns and stuff, and it just gets me thinking, like, This sounds like from Death to Destiny era Asking Alexandria, or even Reckless and Relentless. I just gotta compliment Noah again, though. He sounds so good on this track. He sounds nothing like him. The ferocity, I'm not sure if it was in the mixing or just him dabbling in different vocals, but even on their self-titled record, I didn't hear anything that sounded like this, and it was heavier. From Noah's whispered vocals, to his growls, to his expressive sing-screaming, it's just relentless. Mercy is over 5 minutes long, and I think it justifies the length in my opinion. I do like the synths on this track quite a bit, and even though the verses are a little bit more upbeat and intense than some of the other verses on the record, they still find a way to turn up the intensity on the chorus somehow. Then the ending track, If I'm There, is not heavy at all, but it still ends up being one of the most enjoyable tracks on the album for me, especially from a lyrical standpoint. It's basically a track about helping a friend that you didn't know needed help, that like didn't know were hurting, you just didn't know they needed help. They were either depressed or suffering from anxiety and you just didn't know and you wish you would have known, and it almost has this tinge of like the friend committing suicide and the person having to be like coping with that. And it's backed up by this absolutely gorgeous synth-backed instrumental with just Noah's beautiful vocal performance. I'm just going to read the second verse real quick in the chorus because it's just so powerful, and obviously me reading it isn't going to be as powerful as like the singing with the instrumental, but I didn't want to believe how much you needed help, and I just left you to be all by yourself, and now I wish I had seen that you weren't doing well, but I just came back to see how hard you fell. Well, if I'm there to catch you when you fall, you'll have a friend down in hell after all, and if you're there to catch me when I fall, then maybe hell ain't so bad after all. Kind of feels a little bit like Follow You by Bring Me the Horizon, where it was like you can drag me through hell and I'll follow you, all that stuff. But this whole record has this tinge of religion, of like heaven versus hell, God versus the devil, demons versus angels, struggling with yourself, struggling with religion, struggling with everything. And it's hard to make heads or tails which side of the coin the lyrical feel is made from, which is a good thing because it's hard to really tell. It's a good story. It tells a really cohesive story, and throughout these tracks, you're listening to them and you're thinking, this is a neat song, this has some good lyricism, but when you pair it together, after listening to the entire record and really dissecting it and diving deep, it's really hard not to notice how well the lyrical standpoint is made on this record from something that seems pretty blunt. Yeah, this is an amazing record. I think that they still wear their influences on their sleeve just a tiny bit, but they are definitely coming into their own a lot more on this record than on their self-titled record. It might not be as heavy on certain tracks, but they make up for it in lyricism and vocal performance, in finesse, and in just heart and passion. And it's impossible for me not to get behind this record, and I do highly suggest it to anyone that wants to check them out. I'm going to be giving this record an 8.5 out of 10, and that is a wrap. Please stay for the end screen. I'll link some videos that you might be interested in. Have you heard this new Bad Omens record, Finding God Before God Finds Me? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss the record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. My name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.